It used to be 20 years ago that Pennsylvania competed with Ohio and West Virginia and Maryland and New York and, yes, New Jersey and Delaware too. Now it's the region, and we're competing against Singapore and Korea and India and China and Italy and France and Germany. So it's very, very important that we act regionally together.
Well, in terms of the global marketplace, we collectively are really a unit. It's really incredible when you realize that there are 100 million people. There is $2 trillion of economic activity within a 24-hour drive from this region. And so we are larger, perhaps, than most countries.
The fact is, one state should not be thinking about competing with another state. The way it works is generally there are big pockets. So for example, Silicon Valley in San Francisco, Northern California, 10, 15 million people. The same thing up in New England, the same thing in the Research Triangle. And so we're going to be much better off to the extent that the tri-state region is working together, collaborating, making sure that we're all bringing to the table the best of our attributes, the best of our skills, the best of our resources. That's the real way for us to win. I think there are a number of instances of regional cooperation. Some of them are rather straightforward. For example, Amtrak. Big operation in the Philadelphia area, big operation in Wilmington, and certainly as a hub of the Northeast Corridor. Critically important for the region's economic development, the region's transportation infrastructure.
We went to Easy Pass, and Easy Pass is now seamless, so that when you cross state borders, you don't need a new transponder. This works perfectly. And so a project of that complexity and that scale being done demonstrates the facility with which our three states work very well together.
Gamesa is a good example. Gamesa could have wound up in the Philadelphia Navy Yard, but it wound up in the KIPC in Bucks County. Well, that's still enormously helpful to the region, because in that 400-plus workforce at the KIPC for Gamesa are a lot of Philadelphia residents. There are a lot of New Jersey residents.
I think what we've got to do as a region is figure out what our resources are, and then how do we marshal them effectively. So for example, let's first talk about the natural resources. One thing that Delaware and New Jersey have in common has to do with the coast, and so we both have some significant offshore wind resources. And so there's a question whether there's some kind of collaboration. If it's not the same project, maybe it's sharing the same manufacturing site, the same assembly site, something like that.
I think the real goal that we have collectively is to sharpen our skills in life science, pharmaceuticals, biotech, by getting our universities to work collaboratively in developing the patents and intellectual property, and then working with tech transfer to get those products into the commerce of our three states. I think as a unit, we can be a very, very powerful force.
I think if you fast forwarded the clock 10 or 15 years, we are going to have high-speed rail on the Atlantic Corridor through Amtrak. You're going to be able to get from New York to Philadelphia in 33, 34 minutes. You're going to be able to get from New York to Washington in an hour and a half, and that will end the shuttles, speed up our takeoff time at Philadelphia and BWI and Newark International. So I think Amtrak's a huge asset, and the best is yet to come.
Executives who are making the decision want to know they have access to a labor pool, want to know they have easy access to international airports, and for that matter, private airports. They want to know that they have excellent public and private schools they can send their children to. And they also want to know they can have some fun on the weekends. And I can't think of a region that has more to offer than the greater Philadelphia area.
Well, there's no question, and Select has done a good job, and as a result, we've funded, the state has funded Select over several years. You've got a market in this world, there's no question.
What we've got to do every day is make sure we're creating the best schools, having an appropriate level of taxes, having a high quality of life. When the private sector sees that, they're going to be willing to invest, they're going to be eager to invest, because they'll know it's to their benefit as well.